Hello guys and gaiaps, and welcome back to another tutorial here on Tutorial Tuesday. Welcome back. Today we are going to be looking at how to make an animated Minecraft bucket fill up for intro animations, just like I did for Strawberry Jam's old intro. So if I can go ahead and open up that, I can show you a really good example of what it can come out looking like. So here you go. So that's kind of how I had the bucket fill up. I basically had a stream of, in his case, jam coming down from the top of the screen into the bucket and having it fill up. And at the end I did a little bit of a fancy animation with it splatting at the screen, but I'm not going to go into that into this tutorial. So pretty much what you're going to want to do is grab one thing offline, and that will be the Minecraft bucket image. If you want to use something from a texture pack, you can by all means go ahead and do that, but the process will differ. But just make sure you have the original Minecraft texture. You can just search Google for Minecraft bucket and then go to the images tab on Google, and you can go ahead and drag this image out onto your desktop or wherever you want, and then from there you'll be able to put it in here. Just make sure when you view it on Google it has a checkered background, because that means that it's transparent. If you have a black box around the edges, you might want to find another image that has a nice transparent background. So once you've made sure that it has a transparent background by hitting show transparency right here, you can actually, I'm going to leave the transparency on because I like it. You can actually scale it up to fill a little bit more of the screen. Scale it up. I'm going to move it down here because we want the water or whatever else to be coming from above. And you'll notice it's a little bit pixelated around the edges here. It's a little bit pixelated. You can go over here down your timeline and hit the mode to become draft mode, and that will retain the original pixels. This is really useful for working with Minecraft textures because it keeps everything nice and jagged and hard edged. So once you've gone ahead and done that, we can start working on the stream of lava or water or whatever you want to be putting into your bucket. So to start that off, I'm basically going to do water. So I'm going to hit Control Y to bring up solid settings, or you can go to New, Solid. And then what you're going to want to do is call this in this case it'll be water for me because I'm picking blue. Pick a nice blue shade. That might even be a little bit better right there. Alright, so once you've picked a nice blue shade, you can go ahead and make it comp size, whatever. It doesn't really matter, height and width, that's all up to you. And then click OK. So from here you'll have your blue solid. Right now that does not look like anything you want to be putting in your bucket. Obviously it's a little bit too big to be putting in your bucket, so let's go ahead and fix that. I'm going to use a nice effect called Jaws. It's actually a transition, a stock transition with After Effects, and it's very useful. So when you apply it, nothing will happen. When you apply it to your water layer, nothing will happen. But if you bring up the completion here, you'll notice it brings up, like the name suggests, Jaws. So it doesn't really look like water now, but we can actually go ahead and turn it into waves. It's looking a little bit better. Turn the height down to like maybe 3%, and we'll turn the width up to 25. This is important. If you're on 1920 by 1080, you're going to want to bring your width up to 25. That is very, very important. The main reason being why is because if you guys can look at the cycle here, it starts low, high, low, high, low. So the start over here is where it finishes over here. That's really important that it starts and ends at the same place. They both start and end at the low. So if you're working with a different resolution for your bucket animation, just make sure that it starts and ends in the same position. Alright, with that out of the way, our wave is done, but you're like, well, it's the wrong way around. We want the inside to be blue and the outside to be clear. So what we're going to do is we're going to type in alpha invert. Or I think it's actually invert alpha. Yep, and there's an invert alpha effect right here. You basically put this on your water layer, and it will go ahead and do just that for us. It actually switches the outside blue area with the clear area outside. So it goes ahead and switch that, and that's exactly what we want. Now to clean everything up, we can actually go ahead and close that, and we can close all these just to clean everything up here. And with that done, we can move on to the next part of the tutorial, which is extending this so we can actually make it look like it's going down in the bucket. Right now, if we rotate it, and put it above, you can see we can make it going to the bucket, but then it ends really abruptly, and that's definitely not enough to fill up the bucket, at least in my opinion. You can stop there if you want, but if you want to go further and add more to your wave here, you can actually add a tile or a motion tile. Motion tile, it's right there, it's under stylize. Go ahead and apply this to your layer. And basically, we're going to want to mirror edges, and we're going to put the width up to about 1000. So that's going to extend this from 100 pixels wide to 1000 pixels wide. So we can just, let me zoom out here. We can just, yeah, it's like a never-ending stream of water. It's actually quite amazing. And this is why starting and ending in the same place is very crucial. Because if we go back to Jaws here and we bump this up to like 30, you'll notice that it actually, or actually let me just bump it up even more. Yeah, tweak with it. Oh, the max you can do is, okay, so say it starts and ends in like a different position. Actually, I think whatever you do, it starts in, oh yeah, no, if it's not starting and ending in the right place, you'll notice it has this kind of like little blip in the middle where it's, yeah, it's no bueno. So I'm gonna go ahead and go back to 25 here, and you'll notice when we do it now, it looks pretty seamless. Alright, so what we're going to do now is we're actually going to rotate this layer by hitting the rotate tool, and we're going to rotate it. And now what we can do is just go ahead and animate it going into the bucket. It's really that simple. So actually we might want to turn the output height on our motion tile to be a little bit less so we can actually find the bottom here. Right now it's kind of almost as if it's never ending. We're never going to be able to find the bottom. Alright, so there's the bottom, and it's going to go all the way in. So that looks like just enough liquid to fill up our bucket. Let's go ahead and zoom out and make sure the water is just off the screen. And we're going to go to the position keyframe on the water by hitting P while with the water layer selected. We're going to keyframe the position at the beginning of our animation, and we're going to go to about, it'll take about 5 seconds for the water to get in the bucket. And then we'll animate it, all of it going down and through the bucket and out of the screen. That's very important. Down through the bucket and out of the bottom of the screen. So now we basically have this water going into the bucket like that. Alright, so that's cool and dandy, but what if we want, see, look at the end here, it just kind of, it looks like a block of just gelatin water going into the bucket. That's no good. So we're going to go ahead and animate a keyframe on the jaws. We're going to animate the height of it to actually, we're actually going to animate the completion. Sorry, never mind. So I'm going to go about 1 second in, and it's going to start to minimize its stream right about here. So we're going to go to completion. We're going to keyframe that at 1 minute or 1 second. We're going to keyframe that 1 second, and then we're going to go to the end, and then we're going to bring it down to completion 0%. So you'll notice, if we play it back, I'm just going to RAM preview here. It'll actually, it'll start to get thinner. Motion tile does take a lot of resources to render, so I'm actually going to bring my render quality down to half. So when it starts to render, you'll see that as time progresses and we animate our completion on our jaws to go down to 0%, the stream actually gets thinner and thinner, even more realistic than what I did in Strawberry Jam's intro, because on Strawberry Jam's intro I just had it kind of finish like a block, but this one kind of looks like it's just streaming down. So it actually looks like there's a lot going on there. Like it's going, it's wiggling a lot when it gets down to the bottom here. So and actually the completion should go a little bit earlier. So I'm gonna hit U on my keyboard on the water layer to bring up the keyframes, all the keyframes, and we're gonna go for our completion. I'm just gonna bring that in just to make it go out sooner. So it's gonna go out sooner. Bring it in. It's going to go out sooner. Alright, let's RAM preview this here real quick. So bringing the completion in makes it thin out sooner and ultimately end sooner. So it'll go like that. Stream. Alright, I think that looks good. It's a little bit wavy at the end, but you can actually fix that by messing with the height parameter as it continues. So I can just keyframe that to go down to about like 1%. So now it'll start out really wavy while it's wide, and then as it goes down thin, it'll just kind of slow down the height. Alright, so now let's run preview that, and then it just kind of goes swoop. So, looks really cool, but now it's time to make it look like it's actually going into the bucket. So let me close all the keyframes on the water layer. Go ahead and save. Very important save. Never forget to save. Always make it a habit to save. And the front here, actually, it looks blocky as well. So we can actually do the same in reverse. Sorry, I lied. We're not going to the bucket yet. We can actually do the same in reverse. I'll animate the completion right here as soon as it hits the bucket at 20. So completion, I'm going to keyframe that where it is, add a keyframe there, and then go to 0%. So it's going to go like that. Or actually, here, let me move that in, just see what it looks like. See what it looks like. Huh, okay. I've never really tried it in the beginning part before, so when it starts out, it's going to go right here. I'm going to actually easy ease this keyframe. If you haven't watched my keyframe tutorial, make sure you do it before this one, because it will help you. So it kind of goes like that. I don't know. I think that looks okay. Yeah. You can tweak it as much as you want later, but that's kind of just quick and dirty, having it whoop right there and then thin out. All right. So with that done, we can go ahead and make it look like it's going inside the bucket. So right now, what we got to do is we got to separate the back part of the bucket right here and the front part of the bucket right here. So to do that, we're going to get our handy dandy pen tool up here. You can hit G on your keyboard to select it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to rename this bucket layer by hitting enter on my keyboard. I'm going to rename it to bucket underscore front. All right. So with that done, we can actually use our pen tool and separate it. It doesn't have to be exact because we're on draft, and it'll go to the nearest pixel. So with that said, as long as it's close enough to the edge of the pixel, we should be good. So I'm going to go around the front here, or the back here, and do that. And you notice it selects the back, but this is called bucket front. So I'm going to hit M on my keyboard to show the mask property, and I'm going to invert it. All right, there we go. So I'm going to actually uninvert it while I'm working with it. So you see it's not perfect. I'm going to select my selection tool. I'm going to click on the bucket front. It's very important that you click out and then click on the bucket front, and then start moving around your start moving around your path, so it gets rid of all those dark edges. So you're just left with the back part, and then we'll invert it to reveal the front afterwards. So that looks like that. All right, good. It makes it really simple because it's in draft quality and it retains each pixel. If this were like a high resolution image, we would have such a hard time with the pen tool, but that seems to do the trick right there. Very quick and dirty. All right, so we'll invert it now, and there we go. We have the front of our bucket. Now instead of doing the same thing all over again, we can actually just duplicate this layer by hitting Control D, going to the mask property, and uninverting it. So now we have a back. Oh, we got to rename this to bucket underscore back. All right, so now we have our back and we have our front. So now that they're separate, we can actually go ahead and do something really cool. So we can put the water between, or we got to put the back underneath the front. So our bucket front is on top of our bucket back, and we put the water in between the two, and what do you know? It goes in. So that's all cool, but look, it's leaking out the bottom. So what we actually have to do is add either a track matte or mask out that. So I'm gonna add a track matte just because of one reason, and that's that our water layer is actually moving. So if I add a mask to our water layer, if I go ahead and add a mask to our water layer, add a mask to it, the mask moves with the layer. I don't know if you can see that's really light color, but the mask moves with the position. So we're actually going to have to do a track matte, so it won't move with the layer as it's keyframed. So we're gonna go ahead and add another solid, doesn't matter what color, and we're going to move it down to where we don't want the water to show, and we're going to unsee it. We're gonna put it above the water layer, and we're gonna go to the water layer and set the track matte. Oh, that's blending mode. Track matte to alpha inverted. So now it doesn't show wherever the this blue blocking out layer is intersecting with it. So wherever the blue layer is, the water does not show. So if we move the blue layer up here, it wouldn't show the water up there. So it's just wherever we move this layer that it doesn't show. It's kind of like masking it out. just hence the name. Track matte, actually, no, masking, but track matte, yeah. You get what I'm saying. So there you go, and there we go, it's going into the bucket. But we got to make the bucket fill up, and that's the last part to this wonderful piece of effect. And with that, we will just basically do one thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate our bucket back layer. We're going to duplicate that. We'll call this bucket back underscore track matte. Bucket back underscore track matte. Alright, and we're going to want to do is add another blue layer, and we'll name this blue layer. We'll put it underneath the track matte. We'll name it filling up water. So with this, we're basically going to add another jaws effect, and we're going to apply it to the filling up water, and we're going to go to our completion up there. We're going to bring it super up, and then we're going to go to our width, do it 25, why not? Height, we're going to mess with it, like that. We're going to go to waves, and that looks very nice. Now we're going to want to bring the completion up, and then we're going to want to put in another motion tile. You'll get what I'm getting at here. There. Alright, so we're going to add another motion tile, just to mirror the edges, and we'll put that on. Motion tile is very useful, if you guys can't tell. We're going to change the output height this time. We're going to jack it up. So now we have, ooh, I forget that it mirrors the edges instead of filling them. Alright, let me just fix it, very rough fix by bringing that down. Alright, so now what we got here is we can actually animate this to fill up right here. So if we put that above, yeah. Alright, so if we keep our filling up water underneath our bucket track matte and we hide the bucket track matte, then we can use our filling up water and put it on alpha, or track mode alpha, and we can move the filling up. Oh, we can move the filling up layer, and it will fill up the bucket, just like that. And now we can animate. We can animate it filling up by going to the position of the filling up water, hitting position, going from where. Oh, actually, we gotta keyframe the position when it starts to go in. Alright, so it'll go in, it fills up the bottom part of the bucket, and then it'll start to show right about now. Put the keyframe right there, and then as it fills up, down to the very last little bit of water, we'll actually keyframe the water to go up here. Right about there. You'll notice it kind of peaks up on this side, so we're going to animate the height of the jaws to go down. So we'll go have it go down, and then even right there. Alright, so now that we have done that, we can RAM preview, and hopefully this looks pretty accurate. Right about there. Alright, so that's, well, might want to zoom out. Alright, so that is pretty much the effect in a nutshell. I'll just RAM preview real quick here. Alright, so the water comes down from the top, and it fills it up, it thins out, and we get our nice bucket. Now we might want to add a little bit of wave at the end here. It looks just a little bit too flat in my opinion. So we'll add a little bit of height. Make sure you're at the same place you made your original height keyframe, otherwise it's going to make a new one and problems will arise. I'm going to hold down Control to make a new, more fine-tune adjustment here, and I'm actually going to bring up the width keyframe. I'm going to keyframe the width a little bit before, then bring it up the width to go down to right about here. Just so the bump's in the middle, you know? Or maybe the bump isn't in the middle. Nah, I like the bump in the middle. Or maybe something like that. Yeah, something like that. So, go here to that, and we'll go down like that. And we might even want to animate the width to go like a little bit after, just to make it look like it's still moving, you know? So there we go. Oh, actually I'm going to take that back. I'm going to show you. Alright, so it kind of abruptly stops right about there. It just kind of halts. So to fix that, we can actually we can move the center, I think. Yeah, We can move the center. Alright, that's what I was thinking of. Alright, so I'm going to animate the center when it finishes to just keep going, you know? It's going to, ooh, I moved it up. Alright, there we go. Animate that. Just keep going. Alright, so we got to match the velocity, so it's a little bit of trial and error. If we move it too far off, it'll move too fast once it finishes, but let's just check. Alright. It kind of slows down right as, so we got to move it more. Move it more. Okay, let's see how that looks. Because it kind of just abruptly gets real slow after it finishes. Alright, finish improving here, and we'll see if it matches correctly. There we go. Yeah, maybe even a little bit more, and it looks like it matches correctly. And now we can animate the height to go down. So I'll animate the height here. Alright, so we already have a keyframe at the height right about here, and then we'll just animate it until it finishes to go down. It's a little bit more subtle that way. Alright, so let's check it out. See what we have created here. Alright, and the waves slowly go down, and we'll see how that turns out. So the water comes down, thins out, and we got that going right here, and then it slowly, the water waves finally die down. Alright, I think it just needs a little bit more to the, yeah, a little bit more velocity for that, and then, yeah, we're good. So it comes in, thins out, goes down like that, and we're pretty much done. So I'm going to run preview it one last time for you guys, just to show final result, and we can go ahead and you can render this out and use it in an intro. Alternatively, you can just pre-comp it and put that in your intro, but you can do whatever you want. So there you go. That's just the basic of the effect. And then it waves out, and then the waves slowly die out, because we brought down the height of the waves just so it got flat at the very end. Alright, so that's pretty much that. Hopefully you guys learned something from this tutorial. Hopefully it was clear enough. If you have any questions, make sure to leave them down in the comments below, and I'd love to answer them. You can actually go ahead and add maybe a texture to the water. It's kind of what I did with Strawberry Jam. I just added I think it was a turbulent displacement. No, it was I'm forgetting the name. Oh boy, this is embarrassing. Yeah, I forgot the name. I think it was fractal noise. Ooh, pulling in the clutch there. Alright, so I just basically put on a fractal noise on both the water and the fill up layer, but I'll just add it to one and copy it over. And once we have the fractal noise, it'll look very bad. But if we actually just you know, bring down the whatever, we'll just noise type, we can actually change that. But opacity and blending mode, you want to put the blending mode to add, I think it was. No, it was to overlay. Yeah, overlay. And you can basically play around with the contrast and the brightness to get the right kind of shading for a while, and that gives it a nice little texture. And then you can animate the evolution to kind of move around the waves as you go. Looks very kind of cool. So I'll go ahead and do that. Put one at the beginning, put one at the end. Just, you know, keyframe the evolution, whatever you want. So let's kind of put that through there. And then once you've finished customizing on one, just copy it and then paste it on the other one, which is the fill up water layer. Now notice how they don't match, so what we actually have to do is put the water and the track matte, or wait, the water and the water track matte. Think. Alright, we gotta put, which one? I don't know. Basically I'm just saying put the stream of water going into the bucket underneath the fill up layer, but I don't know which one that is just from glancing at it. But we can go ahead and ramp preview that and see how that looks. So that's just adding a little bit of texture. It's optional, of course. I mean, based on preference to you, whether you like it or not. So we'll go down here, go like that, whoop. You know, kind of up to you. But yeah, I'm actually going ahead and remove it because I personally don't really like the look, but you can go ahead and keep it if you want. So I'll get rid of the fractals, and there you go, that's the tutorial. Hopefully this helped you guys. A lot of people were interested in that effect and such. Hopefully I didn't drone on this tutorial too long. I kind of went into a little bit more detail than I usually do, but hopefully that's okay. And if you enjoyed this episode, make sure you share it on Facebook or Twitter and like it. Share the love, you know, if you found this useful. Chances are your friend will, and your dog, and your grandma. And, you know, hopefully they can learn something from it as well. So with that said, make sure you leave a comment on which intro I should break down an element of next episode of this. If you want just a more general tutorial, make sure to suggest what tutorial I should do next, what tutorial you are interested in, what you want to know how to do. And yeah, that's pretty much it. Suggestions down in the comments. But other than that, leave a like, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Out onto your desktop or wherever you want, and then from there you'll be able to put it in here. Just make sure when you view it on Google it has a checkered background, because that means that it's transparent. If you have a black box around the edges, you might want to find another image that has a nice transparent background. So once you've made sure that it has a transparent background by hitting show transparency right here, you can actually, I'm going to leave the transparency on because I like it. You can actually scale it up to fill a little bit more of the screen. Scale it up. I'm going to move it down here because we want the water or whatever else to be coming from above. And you'll notice it's a little bit pixelated around the edges here. It's a little bit pixelated. You can go over here down your timeline and hit the mode to become draft mode, and that will retain the original pixels. This is really useful for working with Minecraft textures because it keeps everything nice and jagged and hard edged. So once you've gone ahead and done that, we can start working on the stream of lava or water or whatever you want to be putting into your bucket. So to start that off, I'm basically going to do water. So I'm going to hit Control Y to bring up solid settings, or you can go to New, Solid. And then what you're going to want to do is call this your, in this case it'll be water for me because I'm picking blue. Pick a nice blue shade. Hello guys and gaias, and welcome back to another tutorial here on Tutorial Tuesday. Welcome back. Today we are going to be looking at how to make an animated Minecraft bucket fill up for intro animations, just like I did for Strawberry Jam's old intro. So if I can go ahead and open up that, I can show you a really good example of what it can come out looking like. So here you go. So that's kind of how I had the bucket fill up. I basically had a stream of, in his case, jam coming down from the top of the screen into the bucket and having it fill up. And at the end I did a little bit of a fancy animation with it splatting at the screen, but I'm not going to go into that into this tutorial. So pretty much what you're going to want to do is grab one thing offline, and that will be the Minecraft bucket image. If you want to use something from a texture pack, you can by all means go ahead and do that, but the process will differ. But just make sure you have the original Minecraft texture. You can just search Google for Minecraft bucket, and then go to the images tab on Google, and you can go ahead and drag this image. Might even be a little bit better right there. Alright, so once you've picked a nice blue shade, you can go ahead and make it comp size, whatever. It doesn't really matter, height and width, that's all up to you. And then click OK. So from here you'll have your blue solid. Right now that does not look like anything you want to be putting in your bucket. Obviously it's a little bit too big to be putting in your bucket, so let's go ahead and fix that. I'm going to use a nice effect called Jaws. It's actually a transition, a stock transition with After Effects, and it's very useful. So when you apply it, nothing will happen. When you apply it to your water layer, nothing will happen. But if you bring up the completion here, you'll notice it brings up like the